Basically, this is what your screen got stuck at. Can you see?
Oh, wow, that's staggeringly accurate. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 10. We are 10 episodes in now. I mean, like, how did we do it? How did we do this? It's all down to you guys, really. And me. Mostly me, I think, if we're honest. All the other episodes that we've done so far have kind of danced around the topics of like futurism and the changing shape of media and YouTube, and we flirted playfully with topics like cryptocurrencies and things of that nature. But we've never gone full, like, all into products and product management as a discipline. And I wanted to have a chat with somebody who works specifically in that field and who's had experience of bringing tech products to life. So I thought, who better to explain that to me and talk shit for an hour than a certified product consultant and up-and-coming stand-up comedian who I sort of know from the circuit. So the preceding hour was a great time. We talked about everything from stand-up to tech concepts that should never have been greenlit, and about the weird anomaly of retro technology. So if that sounds like your bag, please stick around for this arresting example of podcast chattery with my guest this week, the geeky and gleeful Mr. Ashish Suri. Ashish Suri, how we doing?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
I'm fucking amazing. I always feel like I start these podcasts off with like my first beer of the week. And it makes me feel like I'm a raging alcoholic because I swear like every episode of this on YouTube or like everything that people might listen to, I'm always like chugging back a beer. But
I mean, if you want to talk about, you know, what makes you drink and everything, we can turn it into a therapy session. I don't mind.
yeah, I mean,
I'm always there for friends.
yeah, don't tempt me because I mean, I live quite a difficult life at the moment. It's, you know, it's challenging. It's going to be, a friend of mine said, oh, how's it having like both your kids at
You
home?
just had a
And
kid, right? Congratulations.
thanks, man. Yeah, great. Not sure I would have planned it in the middle of a pandemic, but
No, you're recording this, and someday it's gonna grow up, and it's like, I wasn't planned. The fuck?
oh, she was planned. It's just the pandemic wasn't
Don't
factor.
backtrack on your words now.
Yeah. No, my mate was saying, you know, how is it now that they've shut the schools and you've got Jacob at home with you, and you know you've got a newborn at home with you, and you know you juggling your job, and I was like, oh, it's character building, man. It's like I'm gonna have so much character at the end of this. You're not gonna believe how much character I'm gonna have. I really feel
We're
that.
gonna be patient as fuck anything. So I was like, you know,
Yeah.
it's the one thing I learned was like, if anything, and I don't even have kids. I just play around with my nieces, and I love them. They're amazing. But did you ever think when you were a kid that you were like it's like being on cocaine, but like, I don't know, they're so energetic.
Yeah.
So
I know what you mean. Like I've looked at my son a couple of times and I've been like, I mean, he interacts with people and behaves like a drunk adult. Not like it's not like drunk adults are childish. It's like he's genuinely like a drunk adult, like flippant,
does he
short,
talk
clumsy.
talks about his exes?
Yeah.
Tries to text them in the middle of the night.
Yeah, begs me for one more beer. It's not pretty, you know.
And once you give them 3 shots, like it's the tequila that messes them up.
Yeah, they can't handle it. I mean, why would they be able to handle it? They're too young for it. I don't know why we give it to them.
I don't know. No one. I was gonna add a cocaine joke again. I was like, nah, don't do it. Nah, it's fun, man.
Yeah, so I don't know, it's a bit challenging. But how's your pandemic going? How are you enjoying your COVID?
I've done not many things.
Really?
I've done not
no
many
shit.
things. I tried. It's like one of those things. It's like, or maybe you know, I'll try doing like a video blog or something. It's like, nah, I don't have the discipline for that. Then I was like, I'll start running. I was like, nah, don't have the discipline for that either. So I just stuck to the simple things,
Right.
like listening to music, writing. Comedy's been going online. That was fun. Reading. the one good thing happened when I did actually go into the when the first lockdown happened was like, I think literally a day before they locked everything else,
Mm,
I just went to my nearest bookshop and I just bought like I think 20 or 30 odd books.
pretty sweet, just to keep you tided over.
Yeah, and then some gardening. So, oh my god, I know fuckloads about topsoil, man. Question me, question me.
I'm laughing, not because it's. I'm not mocking you. I'm like,
It's alright.
there's some relatability with that. Where like in the first, you know, when like the first lockdown happened and it was quite nice weather, and my son was at home with me, and I was thinking like, what the fuck am I going to do with him? I want to be outside. I don't want him to be tearing down the walls and stuff. And so we got into like gardening, and we were like digging up like old, just shitty old bits of the garden and turning them into like vegetable patches and like replanting the
Nice.
grass. And there was a part of me in my head that was just like, I really hate this new version of me, like this sort of like, oh, I'll go for a spring walk and then I'll plant some carrots and potatoes. Like, grow up, Aid. What the fuck are you playing at?
Did you have psycho housemates as well?
Psycho housemates? No, I didn't. I mean, well,
Why one of my housemates like just I'm gonna say lost it, but like not in a way that she was like she got really passive aggressive. And I was like, I didn't even leave my room for like a month or two, where I was just like, I'll just leave my room if I was cooking or eating or something.
what? Because you were worried that you would bump into her, and
That my room or in the garden. Oh yes. Oh, phew.
do you think you'll come out of this a nicer person?
No,
No.
no. I mean, I'll I'll come out of this. I think as a less. I'll be less evil than I used to be, I guess.
Really? I feel
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I'll be more impatient, more determined, more selfish to just like
Oh,
do the shit that I want to do all the
this
time.
this is I. If anything else, I will. I can promise you this.
Yeah.
It's I will be patient. I've become more patient
I
because
think
yeah.
it's a balance though, isn't it? It's like I feel like I'm gonna come out of this a bit meaner and a bit shittier and just like I'll be desperate to get back out there and do some stand up or like to do like I've been thinking, well, you and I were talking a while back about doing like app ideas and
Mm,
startup ideas and stuff, and I just don't want to lose another minute. Like I don't want to be cooped
yeah.
up in the hat. It feels a bit like how I imagine getting out of prison must feel like, just sort of like, now my life starts here, like that sort of.
mean, I wouldn't take the analogy that far, but yeah, something along those lines. I mean, yeah, maybe, yeah. It's like I know what you mean. It's just like even because when the first lockdown ended, the first time I actually met a friend in person, it was
Mm,
like really different. It was really different. So yeah, it's gonna change. It's gonna change everyone. Some for the
yeah.
better, some for I well, sadly not. But yeah, it's gonna change everyone. I think people will start loving.
Yeah, I hate to sort of draw a parallel between COVID and like World War Two because I'm sure that that's been, that gets done a lot, right? But
Have you been
but
watching the news again?
no, just reading Twitter and wanting to kill myself shortly afterwards. But yeah, like I mean, if one more person compares like wearing a mask or whatever to like the Blitz or like that, like I might actually hang myself. But like I do think in some senses there might be a parallel to be drawn there in the sense that after the war, I mean, I wasn't around, but after the war, I get the sense that everyone was so happy that this horrible experience was over that
Yeah.
they all went out and, went dancing and drinking and enjoyed themselves and evidently fucked a lot more. And that's why there's like the
Oh, that.
baby boomers. Like, um, so I don't know I don't know if there's going to be a big baby boom or whatever, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if after like 18 months or 2 years
Yeah.
of people not being able to hug each other, if everyone goes crazy and it's just fuckfest.
I mean, it wouldn't be like people hug and then immediately turns into something more, you know.
Don't
Uh,
say that. Don't you ever say that. Yeah. Hey, mate.
that'd be an amazing first date if something like that starts happening. Can you can you imagine?
Mm.
Just the sense of touch is what people have been missing to get intimate. But
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. I mean, I've always look, man, I'm from India. We've never had a sense of space, anyways. You know, I am the kind of guy that I just like hug all my friends. Even before the pandemic, I would just be like, I'm a hugger, and I give those bear hugs where
Yeah.
it's just like I
Like you
choke
mean
people
it.
like yeah, and the people are like you're not my friend anymore, fuck off. So I've had that.
Ah.
It's like a culture thing. It's maybe it's a culture thing, but yeah. So I can't even imagine how like how people
Yeah.
manage social distancing in India.
I don't get the absence of hugs, like, generally. Like, if I see my mates, like, I'm a hugger. And if
Yeah,
I
yeah.
like if I haven't seen my mum like for, you know, a month or a couple of months or something, like, she's not the most tactile person in the world, but I'm like in the door, arms around, like, you know, like,
I
it's gotta, you
completely get
gotta.
it.
I don't.
I was telling you about my nieces. My nieces are the same. Like
Mm,
whenever I'm visiting my sister, because she's like my only family in the UK.
mm.
And every time I visit her, I was just like, I knock on the door and I like take a step back, and it's just to like be able to handle the recoil. Because as soon as the door opens, they just run, and where the Porsche ends, just jump on me. So
That's
I'm always like
nice.
in this position, and I'm just like, I hope they've not grown in the last 3 weeks or like the last 2 months. Because
Yeah,
yeah, it's I've yeah I don't know. It's like a human thing. Handshakes, fist bumps, everything. It's just like
yeah.
when this ends, happy. Everybody's waiting for the happier times.
So let's talk a little bit about. So you mentioned you're from India originally, and let's talk about how you landed in the UK and like how you've come to be the prestigious product professional that we see before us.
It was
So
no,
where did you grow up, and how did you land in the UK? How did you end up here?
I grew up in India, based near Delhi, outskirts of Delhi. Think of Greater London, something like that.
Mm.
And I came to the UK the old school way, on a boat without a passport. No, sorry. Uh, I, I
It's like, I mean, I don't know you that well. I was like, he's being very candid
I mean,
here.
Ashish is not even my real name, so it's like you can't like who are we gonna call? No, I came here for my masters. I did my masters in business information systems management, and yeah, and by the time I was by the time I graduated, like I was doing my dissertation. So basically, from my dissertation, I designed an app, a
Hmm.
mobile app, and I was doing an internship at this company, and then I was like, well, I'll have to leave the country soon. And they were like, why? I was like, well, I don't have a job. And they're like, we'll give you a job. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh, money. And I said yes. And yeah, it's been 7 years since. And I've been
Sweet.
here.
Yeah.
It was a lovely company. They sacked me. And they sacked me. And
Right.
when I was serving my month-long notice, they rehired me, and then they sacked me again after 3 months.
What?
It was a fun
Wait.
experience.
Wait.
It
So
was a fun experience.
you resigned from the job
No.
because
I got sacked the first. It wasn't just me. I didn't really. They weren't like this piece of shit.
yeah.
It was a startup, so they were going under. And
Oh right.
they just went into admin, so they just said bye bye to a lot of people. But then they were trying to keep a skeleton force, and they realized that, oh, this guy could actually add some value. So
Yeah.
they were like, do you want to not leave us? I was like, yeah, sure. And 3 months later, they were like, we made a mistake. You should leave.
Did
It's
you
like,
end up?
yeah,
Did
it's
you?
like
Did they fuck you for your salary and stuff? Did they?
uh, that's it's all the normal stuff. It wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't really want to. I don't want to be that bitter ex, you know.
No, that's fair enough.
She
I mean,
tried
I've heard,
ghosting me, but I got back, and then she did again. I don't love her anymore. Mm. No,
and
it's fun. It's like it kind of also depends on the environment. The people
right,
I every like you always have the one or two odd people out, but I'm like knock on wood. Most of the places that I've worked in, I've always worked with the best. I still remember there was this one time. I used to work for the Institute of Cancer Research,
mm,
and I stepped out of that role. I think back in 2018,
mm,
um, and a year and a half later, sometime, and I left them. I started doing comedy at some point, and late 2019, I was at this gig. It's just an open mic gig, and I was closing the gig in the second half, and I'm just sitting and going through, my bits and my notes, and I'm writing on the table, and I just look up, and one of my old colleagues from like a year and a half ago, I've not seen this guy in almost like over a year. He walks
mm.
in. I was like, oh, he must live around here. And then I look up, and the whole lot I used to work with, my whole department, just at least the whole team, like 10 or 12 people, just walked in. And I was like, what the fuck? And that's the kind of thing, because like you build that relationship, and to
Yeah,
the point that they were, it was such a pleasure. Very
yeah, that's
Starkist
nice.
wise, but yeah, it
So,
was
like, they came down specifically to see you.
yeah, 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 and
Nice, man.
it's
Yeah.
it was the and I was like, how the fuck did you find out? They're like, well, somebody tagged you in the event on Facebook. I was like, fuck, I hate social media.
Well, you got to do it if you're in the comedy game.
Oh, they specifically waited. They wanted to catch me at a gig that I was like, they wanted a good gig, and they wanted a gig where I was the headliner, quote unquote.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man, just like should have brought my best jokes.
Yeah, no, that's nice though. It's nice that they did like a bit of research and they came down and caught you at it. Like I remember when I was first starting doing stand up, and I invited some friends down
Hmm.
to because they knew that I was sort of dipping my toe in it a bit, and I
Wait,
said,
you
"Yeah, come."
you had friends and you started doing comedy. Why?
Right at the
Just
beginning, I did.
was like, why would you
But
do
you,
comedy if you have friends? Have a social life.
yeah, well, it's. I mean, if you have friends and you start doing comedy, you join the no friends gang pretty
Oh,
quickly
yes, yes.
because I invited some friends along to this place in Balham.
Mm.
Fuck me, it was so bad, and I filled up the room with like all of my mates, and then consequently the MC was like, "Oh well, you can go on last then because you've brought the
Oh,
crowd,"
that's
and I'm like,
horrible.
"Shit!" Like all I want to do is just get on, do my set, get it over and done with, and then get smashed with my mates.
Yeah,
And yeah, so it was like they all sat through
yeah.
like 2 hours of open mic comedy, and not particularly like it wasn't good. Like none of it was good, and then I was the sort of de facto headliner that was also not like I was pretty new to it, so
Yeah.
I don't think very good. And then the next day I asked my housemate what he thought of the evening, not me, although covertly I was thinking, wonder if he enjoyed it, wonder if he thought I was any good at that. And I said, so what do you think of last night, how was last night? And he said point blank, brutally, this is exactly what he said. He goes, it was amongst the worst entertainment I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. I was like, fucking hell.
That is
Brutal.
amazing.
Yeah.
I don't invite. I have never invited anyone I know to come down and watch me do comedy. I'm just
No.
like I'm just like I don't know. I'm apprehensive about it. But having said that, this one time, up the creek, right?
Yeah.
So it's like down the road for me. It's literally a 10-minute walk.
Mm.
There were some last minute spots. I was like, I'll do it. The blackout, and I shit you not, I only once have I been like I've not survived the 5 minutes.
Oh, really?
And
Good for you.
that was the one night when I was leaving, and my housemate was like, hey, do you have any plans for the night? I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to do comedy. He's like, ah, sweet. And I was like, it's down the road. If you want to come, you can come and watch. You with the act, so it's like you'll get in for free. He's like,
Yeah.
fine. And he was going on a date with someone. He's like, oh, I'll bring my date as well. Uh, The next
Terrible
day,
day.
we just looked at each other and just nodded, and never spoke about it ever again. I don't think.
No.
I think the lady left him as well.
It must be a shit date. I mean, if you like take you out of the equation, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm saying this is true for any up and coming comedian. Must be a shit date if somebody takes their date along to a comedy night made up almost entirely of amateur comedy, and then and it's terrible. And they can't even they can't talk to each other the whole way through, like, because there's acts, and if they do try and whisper, it's like, shh, keep it down, like that. It's not a great date.
I don't. Yeah, I won't. I've had dates at comedy gigs, but they were like pro nights, and we were sitting in the back, so we could like chill and whisper in each other's ears. But yeah, it's and now we have online comedy, which is a completely different beast. So
yeah, so I wanted to talk a little bit about your profession, and about about like, I mean, I suppose I'm a little bit unfamiliar with product management as a discipline. Like, I've worked with product managers and people who work in product, but I don't really know where it starts and where it ends and what drives someone to work in that. So do you reckon you could give us a definition of what product management is?
If I could, oof, that'd be amazing. It's really subjective though, because it kind of depends like what product do you work with. Because like I usually refer to myself as a data joker.
Right.
Because I've done like so many different roles, but specifically like my SME, my subject matter expertise, I would say if I can, is data.
Right.
So I've worked as a data analyst, a data business analyst, a marketing analyst, a research analyst, a data product manager, a data manager, and just like data quality manager as well at one point. But it's just around how you define a product. So the product I work with is data. But I've gone the way I reached this place was completely like I never thought like. So my master's is, it's like a cross between an IT and an MBA, but it's like a technical MBA of sorts.
Right.
But my bachelor's, I'm actually a dual core engineer. My bachelor's was an electrical and electronics engineering degree.
Right. Okay.
So I was just like, because my mom and dad, they're both engineers.
Okay.
So my dad's an electrical engineer, my mom's an electronics engineer. So when I was growing, I was like, fuck, I'll do both.
Yeah.
And by the time I finished my bachelor's, I was like, yeah, I don't like it that much. And like, it's not for me. But the good thing was because I've always been like into programming and coding.
Right.
So I like, even in school, in our school, when we were growing up, they used to teach us SQL and Visual Basic.
Really?
In school. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's amazing.
Yeah, like I learned SQL, Visual Basic, HTML5 basically. Back in the days of front page. Do you remember that?
But like this was in like secondary school kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Like when I was year six. Year 6 is how old? Like 12 or 13?
Nah. Yeah. Like I mean, this is why I'm so.
Like we for my the Indian equivalent of like the A levels. So I had computer science.
Yeah.
And we had 2 main languages that we had to pick up. In terms of programming, it was C and C++.
Yeah.
And
but like before that, like let's say you're like sort of 11, 12, 13 years old. At that age, what are you learning? Really? That's fucking amazing. It makes me so angry though, because it's like I remember watching an interview with Will.i.am, and I mean, we can have a debate all day about whether we think he's some sort of tech entrepreneur or not, but one of the few pearls of wisdom that he has come out with was he was saying like basically in China they were teaching their children in secondary, like young children like 12, 13, how to code in iOS and and like C++ and stuff. And he was like, we all know that this is going to be the future, that tech jobs are going to be what drives the economy. So why are we not teaching 12-year-olds he's talking about the US, but it's as true over here as it is over there. I'm like, why the fuck are we, like, I think back to my secondary school, and if I had said, like, yeah, I want to do more IT lessons, they would have gone like, yeah, why don't you join computer club? Why don't you come down here at computer club at lunchtimes and you can have a go on the older BBC computers, which were like these, not even like Microsoft or like IBM, BBC computers. They're like, I don't know why they were called like BBC computers. I think they were genuine. There was some relationship there between and there was like Acorn computers, which.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Do you remember them? And yeah, like I mean, I had no exposure to anything close to programming until I was literally like 35, when I was like, oh, maybe I'll retrain.
Do of course. Do you remember MS-DOS, which is now like what do they call it? They call it command prompt now. Yeah.
Yeah. So
they used to teach us. Yeah, I think year 1 or 2. Like basically when we were 6 or 7 year old, they used to teach us like DOS, because back then we didn't really have, like, not every computer had like a Windows 95 or a Windows like
UI
operating
stuff.
system.
Yeah.
So they used to teach us basic command prompt commands. And that's how it happened. And because my final year project for my bachelor's was, me and a friend of mine, we created this wireless, like an autonomous robot.
Right.
And we based it on, what do you call it? Like at that point in time, this was what? 2011, end of 2011, 2010 kind of a thingy.
Yeah.
And the Mars rover mission was a big thing. So we created this a bot, which was basically, say, if there was an accident in a factory or something, a manufacturing factory, like a chemical factory or something, you send the bot in and it will have like a couple of sensors on it, like the temperature sensor, a CO2 sensor, like different whatever. You send it in and it'll send back a signal to you. Okay, it's safe for actual humans to come in.
Oh, really?
So we put in different sensors, put in like a tiny ass camera on it.
Yeah.
But the thing was, we did the coding for it in like machine language.
Really? Machine code?
Yeah. So when I graduated, and I was like, I have inadvertently taught myself these languages.
Yeah.
How the fuck do I use it? So I worked as a software engineer for a bit. But that was basically designing websites.
Yeah.
Before my master's, and then when I came over here, it kind of helps as well if you got like a bit of like technical know-how, because then when you go to the business side, because there's always this thing, you have your stakeholders, right?
Yeah.
People you engage with within the business. So you always have the tech stakeholders, which are like your programmers, your developers, and the architects.
People who speak technically.
Basically, the people who actually do the building and building the shit. And then you have the business people who know fuck all about these things.
Yeah.
So if you have a tech know-how, it becomes easier to then go to the business stakeholders and have those conversations.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up doing this. Because when I was doing my internship, I was sort of like a data analyst, but mostly what I did was like data entry.
Right. Okay.
So I was just picking out different data feeds, Excel sheet to Excel sheet, and blah blah blah. And my boss, she was actually, I think she was the one who suggested that, we should hire she might have some brains after all.
Yeah. Do you find that? So like you've been technical for a long time, then, right? And you've flourished within that world, and you've done a bit of, you've done software engineering, you've coded, you've moved into product. Do you think, I'm trying to think of a way to phrase this where it doesn't sound like a cliche, but basically like a lot of people who are very technical are actually quite a bit socially retarded. So like if like your caricature of like a developer is, the guy that sits in his mum's basement, right, with a beanie hat on, overweight, just, never talks to anyone. And then you've got a sort of less exaggerated version of that when you actually get into the real world of software engineering, which is that a lot of the sort of back-end guys, like server-side coding guys and database guys, can be a bit geeky, but not to that extent. But then there is still this sort of, I don't know how I would describe, like, like I feel like outgoing extrovert, social like comedians for like people who are into standing up in front of people and cracking jokes and
Yeah.
talking on podcasts like we're talking are not the quintessential
Oh,
technical guy. So do you think is it your personality and your outgoingness and sort of humor that's made you think, actually, do you know what? I quite like product. I like having those sort of interactions with people, communicating to stakeholders, taking what this guy says, taking it to that guy. Do you think there's some of that to it?
It's something along those lines, but I wouldn't say that it's exactly like that, because like most of the stereotypes are also I think it's more like a cultural thing. Like back home, some of the coolest people I know are like developers and programmers. Is that it's less of the nerd geeky stuff, but more of the smart badass. Because
Really?
I don't know if you've seen that Hugh Jackman movie. It's called I think it's called Worm, where basically they develop this virus which goes around. It's a worm which
Yeah.
goes around different banks, right? And all it does is like it snips small transactions. So if your bank statement has like you bought something at Tesco's for 10 quid, right? It'll just add an extra pound.
Right.
And people don't really care, right? But what it does is like travels around different banks and everything and keeps adding those pounds, which turns into like a huge million sum.
Yeah.
And nobody. And that kind of a badass, that's the kind of like stereotype that exists back home. That
Right.
if you're a techie, you're that kind of a smart badass. Like you're an evil genius of sorts.
Yeah, yeah.
In a good way. Like, in a good way.
I mean, this is good because I was feeling quite bad then about sort of, caricaturing people as being like a bit geeky and a bit socially retarded. But actually, it turns out that you are idolizing people who fucking tried to bring down banks.
Oh, dude, it's so this is so weird because like one of the reasons I actually stepped away from like being hands-on like techie is because it just requires so much. Like you have to keep yourself up to date. Like I moved to the business analysis side and like the actual business side of things and product side of things. Almost like I think it's been like 6 or 7 years. But since then, you think about all the languages that are developed now. You've got things like R, Python, that is Ruby and all, which is the basics of even developing websites now.
Yeah.
And like even if you're working in like AI and like machine language, you need to know these things like data analytics. If you don't know R or Python, a lot of the analytics tools like Tableau and all, and even Domo, you won't be able to pick those up. So it requires a certain amount of dedication, which for someone like me with ADHD, like it's just yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about modern products. So I'd be keen to get your thoughts on some of these and like where we're headed in the not too distant future. So I was thinking recently that with the advent of wait, hang on, how old are you at the moment?
31.
31. Okay. So you were you active on MySpace back in the day? Is that a bit before your?
Oh no.
It's just before your time.
I don't know if you guys had it over here. It was a big thing over here or not. Something called Orkut.
Orkut. No.
Orkut.
Orkut. Don't know.
Yeah.
No, not heard
You
of
didn't
it.
have it?
Shall I Google it quickly? There we go.
Oh, it was basically what inspired Facebook, regardless of what the movies and the books say.
Right. Orkut was a social networking service owned and operated by Google. It's not a great start, Ashish, I'm going to be honest.
It was the rage.
Oh, in its later years, it was owned by Google. Sorry. The service was designed to help users meet new and old friends and maintain existing relationships. The website was named after its creator, Google employee Orkut. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce that.
You're going to butcher.
Yeah. Okay, founded 17 years ago. So yeah, would have been around the same time, right? So that took MySpace's place, did it?
Basically. So, and there was this other one called High Five.
High Five, I remember that, yeah.
Yeah, so it was basically the way it happened, at least for my generation, was like when I was in school, we had High Five.
Yeah.
That was all the rage. High Five, Yahoo Messenger, and MSN Messenger. And then by the time we got into university, then Orkut was that's how we pronounced it. Orkut was all the rage.
Mm.
And then somewhere Facebook came along, and the thing with Facebook was I know how I went from Orkut and Hi-Fi to like Facebook was because Facebook had these games on there.
Right.
Do you remember that there used to
Yeah.
be those games called like I never played Farmville. The reason I got Facebook was one of my bandmates from oh, by the way, I used to play bass in a band. Just a cheap plug. Uh, he was my senior, and he was on Facebook playing this game called Mafia Wars.
Right.
And basically, the thing with Mafia Wars is like you run out of stamina and energy, so you can ask your friends for stamina and energy.
Right.
So he was like, "Go and create a Facebook account, start playing this game." And I was like, "I don't want to." He's like, "No, you fucking start playing this game, and every time I request energy, I will send you a message, and you send me some energy."
Right.
And I was like, "All right, I'll do it." And I was like, you know what? And things like it's like a lot of these games are like you don't unlock this feature unless you're level 5 or something.
Right. Your friend sounds
So
like
I
he
started
took.
playing. I went to level 5, and then I got competitive. I was like, "Fuck! How the fuck are you level 25?"
Yeah.
And just got out of hand. And then there was other game called Marvel Avengers Alliance, which was, mwah,
Good.
oh
Chef
my
kiss.
god,
Good.
it was just amazing. But that's how I transitioned from Orkut
Yeah.
to Face.
I was
Uh,
way more boring. I was on MySpace, and all of my friends were moving onto Facebook and talking about how like it was much better than MySpace because you can upload
yeah.
photos on there and you have a wall. And I was like, oh, all right, I'll go then. And yeah, how fucking
You remember the Pokes?
yes, yeah, I remember poking.
Oh, dude, I forgot about the
The
Pokes.
pokes were good. The pokes were that was a way that you could kind of informally, kind of a bit sleazily, kind of tell someone that you like them.
Oh,
It was like, hey,
I was just gonna say, yeah, that was I think sort of like online harassment.
yeah,
It's like sending unsolicited friend requests these days, and people will just be like, "Hey, you added me. I don't want to talk to you, but here's a poke." And
yeah,
please, and if they poke, oh man, if your crush, they poked you back, and you're like, in.
yeah. I mean, in many
Okay.
ways, it was the grandfather of the dick pic, I think. Um,
In a way, yeah.
but I was going to say, like, so
And it was called the poke.
like, right, MySpace has been recoded, like revamped, and not by Tom from MySpace, but by this guy. I think he's on on Twitter. Sorry, as Ed the Creator. I think his name is. He's a
Yeah.
German kid. He wasn't around on the internet when original MySpace was out. He's just some kid, a bedroom coder, and he was like, "Oh, what's this MySpace thing? Maybe I'll just rebuild it." And it's got like 60,000 users or something on it already, because there's a real hunger for that sort of innocent time of social networking when you could create a profile and you could add somebody and read their little blog thing and listen to their demo, and you weren't having your data drunk by fucking Zuckerberg and
Yeah.
sold off and like all that. And I feel like there's a sort of weird internety nostalgia thing, because somebody was talking the other week about how like WhatsApp, loads of people are deserting WhatsApp because of they're looking to integrate the WhatsApp data with the Facebook and the Instagram data. And so actually what will end up happening, no surprises, is that you text me on WhatsApp and say, I'm thinking about stabbing my wife. And then you go onto Instagram and then there'll be loads of adverts for knives, right? I mean, obviously that's a terrible, horrific example, but I'm just saying, like, you say something on WhatsApp, you'll see adverts for it on Instagram, and you'll see stuff on Facebook, and
That's how it's working. I think it's with any and every new product that comes out. It's like in its initial stages, it's always fun to enjoy, but once like people learn how to exploit it, it just takes the fun away. it's like drinking. When it's like when you start like you're out with friends and you're just socializing,
Mm.
it's fun. There's always this one person who's just like by the time you're done with the first pint, they're already on the third, and I was like, ah man, you overdid it. You can I could see this. I could see that with the three beer cans behind you.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'm not that quick of a drinker, and I feel like I'm the guy who, when I'm like, well, I'm 40 now. When I'm like 47, I'll go to the doctor
Oh, you don't look it.
and I'll say, "Thank you, man. Thanks. I need that sort of encouragement." I'll go to the GP when I'm 47 and I'll say like, "Yeah, here's my blood test, here's my blood work," and then they're gonna say like, "You don't know that you're missing an enzyme, right?" And I'll be like, "What?" And they'll go, "Well, didn't you wonder why like all your friends could drink until like 3 or 4 in the morning, but you'd be fucking hammered by like 9:30?" I'll be like, "I did wonder that. Yes, all the time. Like half of my, I swear, like there's a whole other half of my 20s that I should have had, but I was just passed out for."
That that's like the most weirdest superpower to have, right? What's your superpower? I'm a lightweight.
Yeah, I mean, it's pathetic, but
It's it's bad. It's just right next to hindsight.
yeah. I mean, it's like the worst thing is I do enjoy a beer, and I on some occasions I get a little sniff of what it must be like to have a normal level of tolerance. Where, you know, if I go out with some friends, if I go to a wedding, for example, I'll have, you know, we have Bucks Fizz, and then we'll have a few beers, and then we move on to shots or whatever, and I'll be awake the whole day until like, you know, 1 in the morning, and I'll be like, fuck, can't believe I was drinking for 13 hours here. How did I manage that? And then, you know, the following Friday night, I'm down the pub, and after like 4 pints, I'm like, I gotta go home, guys. Bye.
Yeah, I think it's like the occasion matters as well. So like you probably like it might you might be more like drunk on adrenaline.
Maybe, yeah. It might also be like, I think in my more recent years, it's like I know that I don't get that many nights out because I'm a dad. So like when I do get a night out, it's like I need to fucking eat booze for the next 90 minutes.
Guys, bring it in, guys.
Yeah, yeah,
Who wants shots?
yeah.
And that's just after the first drink.
For sure. Yeah. But anyway, yeah. Let's wind back to this retro sort of thing, right? So I was thinking like with WhatsApp, loads of people leaving WhatsApp, going to Signal, going to what's the other one, Telegram, because they're uncomfortable with the amount of data that Facebook are amassing. And I was thinking about Space Hay, right, which is the new MySpace, and I was thinking about like Reddit still looks quite, you know, old and retro. And then I was like, if ever there was a time that MSN Messenger could take off again, it's fucking now. Like people would go on to like an MSN Messenger clone. I would download that.
I fucking what was it? The chat rooms. Remember the chat rooms? Oh my god.
I'll tell you something weird about the chat rooms. So
ASL. Oh yeah. Fuck. Like,
but like in the UK, there was a big hysteria about paedophiles in the.
I mean, it's in every country, most countries.
Yeah, I mean, this was like. I imagine it is, but like, there was a particular like a media frenzy about it at one point. I think it was shortly after Ian Huntley had been convicted, somewhere around that time in the noughties, and anyway, there was a lot of talk about where paedophiles were meeting to talk and exchange blah blah blah, and then Microsoft said, "All right, guys, we're shutting down MSN chat rooms because we don't feel that it's right to offer paedophiles a place to exchange thoughts and blah blah blah." So anyway, all the newspapers are like, "Good for Microsoft, that's really good. MSN chat rooms shut down. Cool, children are safe again." And then I read a bit deeper into the detail, and like they'd only shut it down in the UK. So it's like it had fuck all to do with keeping kids safe or I imagine paedophiles didn't even use MSN. like chat rooms.
I with their brain capacity, I don't think that they're so avid with technology. I think they basically realize, oh, there used to be an Emerson.
Yeah, props. Yeah. I don't know. It just struck
I,
me as weird because it's like, well, surely if that's the problem, then you shut it down everywhere. But if it's,
I
if it's just for if it's just for newspapers to get good PR, then just shut it
to
down
be
in
honest,
England.
it used to be so weird. It's like, because I don't know how, but like you, they were guys talking to guys pretending to be women. I'm
Mm,
like, why?
yeah.
Why? That's the worst form of character comedy ever.
It reminds me of, I read a book called Undercover Police or Undercover something. It's by these two Guardian journalists who got the scoop on the London Metropolitan Department who went undercover and joined all these protest groups. And what they would
Yeah,
do is they would pose as, like environmentalists and
yeah,
anti-racist types.
yeah.
But it got to the point where so many of them had infiltrated this group that they were all like dishing dirt on each other, thinking that they were informing on these other people. And it got right up to the top level where they were like, no, you fucking idiots. Like, he is also a cop. Like,
Oh man, what's the book called? I might actually look it up.
let me find the name of it. Hold on a sec. Undercover, The True Story of Britain's Secret Police. That's what it's called. I can't hear you. Let me try this
Can
again.
you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hear me now? Can you now?
Uh,
Shalalala. The thing is, I've got the sneaky little thing. Can you see it?
Yep.
So basically, you press this button,
Oh, right.
unmute. But can you hear me now?
Yes. Yeah.
But the thing is, usually what happens is like if I'm using any other software like Zoom or Skype or anything, not Skype, sorry, Teams or even Slack for that matter, it just syncs up with the app by itself. For some reason, it's not synced with Skype. So if I mute myself on the desktop app,
Yeah.
it will not. This thing will not mute me. So I have to mute on both the things.
Oh, right. I see.
And I just took a really big gulp of water, so I was just gonna do a really weird burp.
Oh.
That's why I muted
Oh,
myself.
you could have just let it out, man. Fine.
I'm trying to be a professional here, Aid.
I'm not. So yeah, so I just sort of bringing us back to the retro thing. Do you think
Yeah.
do you feel is there a product managery type gut feel in you that suggests that maybe we might be on the cusp of like a kind of retro-y, hipstery kind of internet again, or
Definitely. Like, look, if anything else, man, nostalgia sells.
Mm.
You know, and it's just like, remember, like, how do you say it? Um, s- think of things you had back in the day that you enjoyed, right?
Yeah.
And it's just is this a simple idea of like, man, imagine if they made something like that now,
Yeah.
and the technology and the advances available in this day and age, how could that fucking,
Yeah.
it's the whole idea of like what was it called, the glasses.
Oh yeah. So like Google Glass.
No,
Oh.
no, the one before that,
Oh.
the DVD player ones,
The
the iTop.
iTop.
Was it
Yes,
the iTop?
yes. Yeah. The iTop
Yeah.
DVD player.
The iTop. It is on PC World's top 25 worst tech products of the decade, or maybe the millennium. Yeah, the decade, I think, because they came out early 2004 or something.
Yeah.
But they paved the way for like Google glasses and like, the whole idea of like AR and VR headsets. And yeah,
But it's
and
like,
imagine if that came back now.
if you look at a product
I think
like
they would
that,
make it work.
then it's like, do you
Yeah.
look at, as a product consultant, do you look at products like that and you're like, that's like those silly, goofy old videos where it's like a guy trying to fly in a self-made plane, like runs off a cliff, like
Yeah.
flapping his up, like, and then you look at something like, not Google Glass maybe, but like, VR goggles or something. Do you see that as a sort of first
That's the
generation?
thing. I do, because think of it this way. So, Star Trek,
Yeah.
right? And this is, I'm saying, like, maybe early '90s Star Trek. From there, that time onwards, anything and everything they used to show as like a fucking massive piece of technology is literally what we do right now.
Mm.
Like, look at when they used to have the video calls,
Mm.
right? We are literally doing that.
Yeah.
When they used to have those mobile phones, and like those more, I don't know what they call them. I'm not like that big a nerd about Star Trek, uh, but even that became a thing,
Mm. Yeah, you're
and
right.
we're reaching an age. It will, like, I remember, I think 3 or 4 years ago, when they came back, like Nokia had basically died, and like I think Windows took them over, or somebody else had like taken over, at least the phones. And they were like, we're going to bring back the banana phones,
Right.
the curved Nokia ones
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
flippy thing. They did that, but just as a smartphone. So it was like an old school retro phone with it wasn't the Android, it was the Windows operating system on it,
Yeah.
like the phone operating system on it. I think there is so much like potential in this,
Yeah.
but the only thing that scares me is like there's something. It's not going to be for every product. Like, I can't bring back every and any tech product from like back in the noughties.
No. I posted a thing last night on Instagram about like pages. Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
did you ever have a pager? Was that
I
might
know,
have been
man. I
just
wasn't that
before?
cool.
Yeah.
No, no, no.
Well, I mean,
I like, they came out in my time. I just wasn't the cool kid. Like,
maybe you had them before, like, because I was thinking about sort of in terms of like the era that it was. I had a pager when I was 15, so that would have been 96.
oh, you were
And
the slick one. You
you're,
probably had a pocket protector as well, didn't you?
I think I
You
did.
had one of those with
Yeah.
the chain. And yeah, of course you did.
A very brief moment of coolness in my
And then you had
life.
like a fountain ink pen. Did you have that one with the
No.
this class, man?
I feel like in my school, in my college, if I had a fountain pen, that would have made me. I would have lost the credibility that I'd got with the fucking chain and the. Yeah. But like, so we had pages and we had mini disc players,
Oh yeah.
and they were like the go-to cool tech accessories in like 96, 97 ish, I think. And I wonder, like, if you've got an iPod or like an MP3, I mean, everyone's got music on their phone now, so it's a
Yeah.
bit redundant. But like, would it take off if you just had something that ticked that box that made you feel the way that you did in 96? You know?
I miss those. One of my mates had. There you go.
I'm just proving a point that we're not being professional here. You don't have to be weird about your burp, because that was weird.
Dude, I get like, I think in our relationship and our friendship,
Yeah.
I can handle a burp from you. I can handle I can handle
It's
burps from you. I don't think we've reached a point where I can handle the farts, but the
no.
burps I can handle. Yeah,
I mean, they're coming, but that's the next level deep in our friendship. That's
yeah. I think I'll give it like another decade or so. But I can handle
Sure,
burps.
sure. Yeah,
Maybe like if you like go all out and like get pissed drunk and puke. But yeah,
sure. Yeah.
what was I gonna say? Okay. Um,
What were we on about? I can't remember. I've lost track.
Oh no, the iPods and everything. So one of my
Yeah.
mates, I used to borrow it from him. He had this really cool thing. I don't know. You must have known about him. It's like you had these tiny USB uh, MP3 players.
Yeah.
Do you remember those? Which is
Yeah, I had
basically
one.
a USB drive,
Yeah.
but like you could use it
You
as a
plug it
USB
in,
drive and put
and
songs.
then yeah.
I fucking dude. Things like those. Yeah, I think people would want that.
I used to love those because so you mentioned that you were in a band earlier. I was also in bands, and I did a lot of music production. And I fucking loved them because they were so easy to move like music files onto. So if I made a demo that I wanted to listen to for a bit and check out and decide if it was any good, it was just a case of like drag and drop onto the USB drive. Whereas with like anything else, like I remember the first few iPods, it felt like I had to like buy the track again on iTunes. Like even if I owned the CD or something, maybe I'm not remembering that, but not remembering it properly. Sorry, but
that's just Apple for you though. Like
it felt fiddly. Yeah,
they just try to create that exclusivity. I still remember I had one of those iPod Nanos.
Yeah.
Right, with the tiny screen and the round touch wheel.
Yeah.
I had I think it was 8 GB, and I filled it up with all my music. And the thing is, I still have that thing. But even if I take the music out, I can't like play it outside of an iTunes player. I'll have to convert it and everything, and it's like, yeah, that's just Apple for you. But yeah, I know that. We used to have this. I used to have this, go for runs and like work out and everything. Sony used to have this earphone necklace, which was basically just earphones um, connected together, but it also had like 4 GB of memory, so you could put your songs in there.
Oh right, really?
And yeah. And now it's just a case of you got your wireless earbuds and you play the songs from your watch.
Yeah.
But something like that, I don't know when Sony discontinued it, but fuck, those were the things. I miss that as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it like? Do you think it's like you miss?
And I think
you miss those products in the same way that like our parents still love vinyl. Do you know what I mean? Like they'll swear till they're blue in the face. They're like, oh, there's nothing quite like putting a record on and putting the needle on, and you know, and to some extent I get that. It's like it's a tangible thing, but it's also like, is it like if I had a mini disc player now, I'd look at it with a loving smile. I'd be like, oh, I remember like that feeling, you know, like I miss that feeling.
I think it's gonna become like a hipster thing.
Yeah.
And then like at the moment we could get like a USB MP3 player for, I don't know, 20-30 quid, or maybe 10, I don't know. But like 5 or 10 years from now, it's going to be a novelty thing, and they're going to start selling them again for like 100 quid. Nobody else makes it but us. You know?
I can almost guarantee. In fact, right, let's have a quick look here, just for a goof. I can almost guarantee that there will be a company who has manufactured an MP3 player that looks like an old TDK tape thing. Right, let's have a look.
Oh yeah.
MP3 player that looks like cassette tape. MP3 player that looks like cassette tape. Right, mixtape. Tapping into that hipster market is the mixtape, a portable Bluetooth music player that's not only shaped like a cassette, it also plays in an old school tape deck, if you still have one lying around. Underneath a shell of pure nostalgia, the mixtape functions like any other digital music player. Fucking kill me. This is what I've become. Dude, I would buy that.
You know what all right. This is okay. This is gonna. I just remembered something. I used to date this lady. We had a thing, right? That we used to send each other songs like randomly. Like in the middle of the day, I'll be like, "Oh, here's a song I'm listening to," and I would like to think, I don't know if she would agree at this point in time now, but I would like to think that when we were dating, like we had a kind of like a similar taste in music, and it was like eclectic and all over the place. So for our second anniversary, not for our second anniversary, for Valentine's Day, second Valentine's Day, what I did was like I was gonna make her a mixtape. So I went online and I got. That's so fucking cheesy, right? And as I was looking up for like mixtapes and everything, and obviously she doesn't have like a 8-track cassette player or something.
Yeah.
So I found this thing, which was basically a USB drive, but also in a 8-track cassette mold.
Yeah.
So, and I put in, I think it was, I don't know how many GB it was. I think probably like 4 GB or something. And I put in like, not 4 GB, it was 8 GB, and I put in there like 7 GB worth of songs.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a lot of songs.
Like and the thing about those songs were like, they were all the songs that we'd exchanged.
Yeah.
I had to go through like almost a year and a half's worth of like chat history.
Yeah.
To just go through the songs that we had shared, put them all in, and make a mixtape for her.
Yeah.
Um,
What did she give you?
I got a hug. I got a
That's
hug.
pretty good. Yeah. That's nice.
I got a hug, kiss on the cheek. Yeah. It's the thought that counts, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck. Oh man, mixtapes. Fucking hell, forgot about
Yeah.
that shit.
See, that's something that's gone, isn't it? It's like now what do? You what, create a playlist?
You send them a playlist.
Yeah.
On Spotify.
It's not the same, is it? It's like my girlfriend from way back in the day also used to make me sort of like little mixtape.
She's your wife now,
things. Yes. Yeah, that's right. No. My first girlfriend when I was at school and stuff, and we would make each other like tapes and stuff, but it took effort. Like there's a real romance to it. It's not just a sort of, just a tangible nature to it. It's like somebody actually bothered to sit there, not just choose the shit, but then like sit and dub it. And then, it's like there's effort there. Like now it's like, I added some stuff on a playlist for you. Have you checked it out yet? No.
There's just too many options these days. That's basically it.
Yeah.
It feels like that. But that's what I'm saying. Things like those, like, it's going to show that, yeah, you made an effort, and yeah, they're going to come back. There's definitely a market for that. I don't know how you push it out though. If I did, would be minting money.
Sure. Okay, well, let's talk a little bit about just hilariously shit products. So we've mentioned the iTop DVD player. I mean, you see a guy, the flying prototype versus the, Airjet thing.
Yeah.
What I see is like a fucking goofy, like, it's like I respect the engineers who went into it, because I'm sure that probably what happened is somebody walked into a room, a big boardroom with, glass, and it's on the 50th floor or something. They were like, people like DVDs, right? People fucking love movies. Well, what if you could watch a movie in your glasses? And it sounds quite cool, right? It's like, commuters might like it, and, bored teenagers might like it. But then when you actually see the product, it's like these visor things, matrixy looking visor things, and then it's, you still gotta hold the fucking DVD player with you. It's like,
yes, and a battery pack.
Yeah, it's like, how?
Okay.
What the fuck? Like, where did this get signed off?
Do you know why? One of the main reasons why that thing flopped.
Why is that?
So basically, the users got motion sickness.
Really?
Because the way it worked was like you only added over one eye.
Oh, right.
And most of the times, it was just the right eye.
I thought it was...
They didn't even give you an option for like a left or right eye.
So you're just watching it in one eye? I thought it was...
Yes.
This whole time, I thought it was like a two-eyed thing. And then when you said about motion sickness, I thought, have you used one of those... There's
VR thing?
Yeah, no, like a VR helmet that you put your phone in, and then you watch the 360 videos and stuff, right? And
yes,
I get a bit queasy on those because it's almost like they haven't quite nailed it with it, and it's
the depth perception's like kind of fucks it up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's sort of, there's a slight blur and a slight like visual echo. I can't think of a better way to describe it, but it's like, twice or 2-3 times of the same.
It's like a trace. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So basically, that's what was happening, and it was causing motion sickness. And you mentioned the engineers. Once that came out, right? People like, who the fuck?
Yeah.
Like you say you did so much testing. Did nobody fucking tell you that this causes motion sickness? It's fucking up with people's depth perception.
This is what I never understand with products like that. Is like, so you get these engineers to build it, and you build what, like, if people are listening to this or watching it and they don't know much about the tech industry or processes, you build a proof of concept first, and then once it's greenlit and some guy says, this is exactly what I want, but obviously it needs a bit more work and blah blah blah, then you build what you call an MVP, which is a minimum viable product, so the bare minimum to get it out the door. And then after that, you can iterate over it, and you can say, right, the next generation of these things should have X, Y, and Z added to them. But here's what I don't understand is, you would think the minimum viable product to sell to people would be to not make them take these fucking glasses off and vomit in a bin. It's like, what market are you going for?
You know what I think? It's just like, because I read it somewhere as well. I think it's along the lines of like they knew it, but it was like, would it still like it's because the example those guys gave was like, it's like going on a roller coaster, right? You know you're gonna be dizzy. A lot of times, if you go on like one of those high rises, you come down and you're puking your guts out.
Yeah.
But you still enjoy it and you still want to do it.
Yeah.
I think it was more around the lines of like, this is going to be so fucking amazing.
But it's
going to make people look so cool.
Like if you're watching a 3-minute YouTube 360 video about like a roller coaster, then maybe puking because you've been on a roller coaster, that's understandable. If you're watching a DVD in your glasses of When Harry Met Sally and you fucking rip them off and you vomit in a bin, that's not a good USP.
I don't know, man. It was the same with the Google glasses as well.
Yeah.
And they fucking came out like what, 4, 5, 6 years after that. I don't know when the first Google glasses came out, but they were almost like a decade after that.
Yeah.
And you're like, Google with all its like money and resources, they would have thought that this shit's gonna flop. This is why I admire Google so much over Apple. What do you think happened to Google glasses?
I think, here's my theory that I'm just thinking up on the fly.
Go on.
I think they got caught in the same trap as the DVD glasses, where they thought this would be a really cool thing, and people would actually. It stands to reason that people want information on the go, and it is a hassle unlocking your phone all the time and looking down. So let's just give it to people in their line of sight, the way that they do in the movies, in like the future movies. So that's it. And then I think what happened was people got these things and they weren't natural to wear. I think when you had them on your head, I've never worn Google Glass, so I'll just put that out there. But from the videos and shit that I've seen, it didn't look particularly natural, and there wasn't enough of a cost benefit swing to it where people were like, this is amazing, like you would imagine an Apple product would be. Versus the awkwardness of being seen with these kind of cyborgy, slightly awkward glasses. And I think they then de-scoped it. They were like, so we put it through the, focus groups and shit, and everyone says it's fucking ridiculous. Let's can it. That's what I think happened. But you might be able to enlighten me.
Here's the fun thing. So this is what happened.
Okay.
They brought out a public version, which wasn't obviously as big as they thought it would be, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then Google Glasses still exist. They came out with a new version. They made it a more of an industry thing. And what exists now is Google Glass Enterprise. And they came out with version 2 last year.
Really?
So it's only in it's only for businesses now. So in manufacturing industries and like factories and everything, they give them to the employees and the workers in the factory who basically put it on and work with it and use it to talk to like other colleagues, and like it's used in plants.
It's in some ways that's better, isn't it? Because there's a lot of products that actually only get into the sort of consumer arena after they've gone through the sort of commercial arena. I'm struggling.
They did it the other way around. That's why I like Google, because they were like, fuck, there's something in there. How do we make it work? Take it the other way around. Yeah.
Like, I was going to say, like, BlackBerry phones originally were just like a business thing, and BBM Messenger was originally just a business thing. And then, it worked its way down. It's like sort of trickle down technology. And so it does. I think that's probably the way to go. Maybe that is the problem with it, is they were sort of shooting too fast. They were so desperate to get it out to the masses that actually that is kind of what killed it, and eventually it will end up coming back to the masses, but as a refined, perfect product.
Microsoft has something similar called the HoloLens.
Right. Yes.
Which is like a more fucking amped up version of a Google Glass.
Yeah.
Like it's it's like the design and everything is like more slick, and there's more things you can do with it. And obviously, Microsoft being Microsoft, they've got a separate operating system for it, and like then add on softwares and everything. It's to the point that the Microsoft HoloLens is used by the U.S. military, right?
Really?
Guess how much that pair of glasses is going to cost you?
If Google Glass is $1,000, HoloLens, it's got to be competitively priced. I'm going to say. But then the fact that you're asking the question makes me think it's different. So I'll say $1,500.
I'll give you. All right, I give you one guess for that one. So you had two guesses.
Yeah.
I'll give you one more guess. I'll give you one more guess. You had a guess for Google Glass. You had a guess for this. I'll give you one more guess. 3 guesses. We'll keep it old school.
Okay. $10,000. Let's go high.
Oh, wow.
Go
this
high.
Is like fucking like fuck this shit. I'm gonna fly with it.
Yeah.
It's $3,500.
Really? Yeah.
$3,500 for a Microsoft HoloLens.
But is that like, because I remember seeing the videos for HoloLens, and again, like if anyone is listening to this and they don't know what it is, it looked fucking amazing. Like it was, you put on these glasses, and it effectively, like I don't know how accurate this is, but on the adverts, it looked like, or on the promo video, it looked like you look at your kitchen wall, and it paints like a UI, like a sort of menu on your kitchen wall, and then you can tap into the fucking menu.
Basically,
and
it's
everything is a computer screen now.
Yeah, basically. So okay, I'll simplify it. So basically, what they've done is like they've then taken augmented reality and they've taken virtual reality, mix it up.
Yeah.
So it's like playing Pokemon Go with glasses. So instead of, it's basically that.
But the sad thing about it was that, so I got excited about it, being the geek that I am. I was like, that looks amazing. And then about a year after I saw the video for it, I was like, whatever happened to that? And then I thought they de-scoped it. I didn't even think that Google Glass or HoloLens was still a thing. I thought everyone was like, nah.
They're pitching it to like businesses, and one of the primary users for Google Glass is Samsung.
What do you think is the most exciting future-y product that you can imagine? What is there that's making you think, that would be fucking amazing? There's got to be something.
There are 2 things. I it's kind of scary, but like I read a lot of comics as well. I'm just like, when are we going to reach that point that, you know, that we get like these bionic appendages that give us superpower?
You mean like a sort of like an arm that can just like, what?
Yeah.
Do you just want to go out and fight crime?
No. I don't think I'm a crime fighter.
No.
I'd be, you know, this is okay. Now my nerd's coming. I know, nerd or geek, whatever you want to call it, is coming out. So have you ever played those multiplayer online games like MMORPGs, right?
Not really. I've only just got into like PS5 recently, so
basically, like if you're a part of a party, right? So you've got the bruiser and the enforcer, which is like this big ass dude who's got a lot of like hit points. So he'll be your defense, right? And then you've got the scrapper, and the scrapper is basically someone that does not have that many hit points, but the attack is fucking amazing.
Right. Cool.
Right. Then you have the tactician. The tactician's this guy, like a mage or something, who's got like these spells, and he can attack the enemy and do like area spells and attack a lot of enemies at the same time. And then you've got the support and the healer.
Right.
Right. And that person's like basically not attacking the enemy or anything, but just like fucking trying to save his own party.
Right. Okay.
So I see
You're
myself,
that guy.
If I get superpowers, I won't be fighting crimes, but I'll more be like, I don't want to say support, but because that sounds shitty, but I'll be like more around saving the superheroes themselves.
Yeah.
I was like,
I get that. I imagine you sort of, you know, welcoming the superheroes back after a hard fight, and then like offering them a hug or something.
Yeah, basically with my apron around, getting like teas and biscuits and cakes and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, something like that. But that's the thing. We've grown up watching all this sci-fi shit. We don't really know what actual piece of technology is actually going to be good for us, and like, you know,
yeah,
it's like, who decides what's required?
Me. I do. And this podcast. I've got to leave it there, mate.
Oh,
We've been
man,
talking for a while, so yeah, thanks very much for joining me tonight.
No, I'm excited. I'm excited. It was very fun. And if you want to discuss anything else any other time, all yours.
Cool, man. All right. Well, thanks very much, and yeah, we'll catch up soon.
I'll come with the ball sock. Have a good night, sir, and we'll catch up.
Take care, mate.
Cheers.
Cheerio. Bye.